The Bite of 87. One of the, if not the most infamous mysteries in the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Its first introduction was back in Five Nights at Freddy's 1, where we learned that someone's frontal lobe was bitten off by one of the animatronics. For years, people have been asking the very same thing. Who is responsible for the bite? There's a list of potential suspects. However, the evidence for anyone significantly standing out was never enough. Only since August 2024, due to the release of a new book, have we finally gotten something new regarding this case. And boy, did it get juicy. I'm now pretty confident to present you the main suspect. Or should I say main suspects? But before that, I may as well talk about the other suspects, in which I believe some may or may not surprise you. First, the formalities. The incident happened in the new and improved Freddy's after the 6th night of Jeremy Fitzgerald's shift. He was meant to switch over to the day shift for the upcoming birthday party on the day after. The victim seems to be the guard himself, as Phone Guy, or Ralph, which is his canonical name, said through his messages that the animatronics were only hostile against adults, not children. There were a total of 11 animatronics present during this incident. However, we can quickly exclude the Marionette, Balloon Boy, Withered Chica, and Golden Freddy, as they lack both proper motive and even a slight indication. Even though Toy Freddy and Toy Barney weren't staged and therefore pretty suspicious, I'd also leave them out as it's out of character for them. Toy Freddy was described by the encyclopedia to be the friendliest out of the cast, while Toy Barney is an idiot that isn't even able to count. Now to the ones that actually have something going for them. The Mangle, perhaps, might be the most popular candidate for the bite. First is its appearance. With its big long jaw and sharp teeth, it's certainly more than capable to bite someone's frontal lobe off. Then there's Mangle's jump scare. The way the guard gets bitten by it shows it's already willing to commit the crime. A motive is also kinda there. Its voice signs indicate her anger towards the people responsible for taking it apart and putting it back together.
Now I get to play take apart and put back together. You won't feel a thing. This almost makes us yearn for the days of the Kids Cove. Never again. Never. Never ever never.
Now that makes Mangle a pretty good suspect for the case. Nevertheless, the other suspects will not make it that easy to close the case just yet. I personally think many people were sleeping on Toy Chica. She was on the stage during the incident. What makes her stand out from Toy Freddy and Toy Barney are her voice lines, specifically this one.
Where's my beak? Lodged in your forehead, of course.
That is basically a confession to committing that exact crime. In the encyclopedia, she was described to be bloodthirsty, which wraps up her voice lines pretty well. For quite some time, I too believed she caused the bite of 87, until the release of the interactive novel the week before. This book takes place a week before the events of Fnaf 1 and addressed so many different things from the past. One of them was the bite of 87. I don't think there's anyone in their right mind who thought Freddy caused the bite. I mean, why should he even be considered to be a suspect at all? Mostly because of the week before. He pretty much skyrocketed up to the list of potential suspects in an instant. I'd go so far and call him one of the main suspects now. First, there are the small indications from Fnaf 1. One of the rules specifically state to not touch Freddy. Why not say, don't touch the animatronics? Is it because he's the mascot of the franchise? Or is it something darker the employees are very well aware of? If you look closely at Freddy's design, you see a handprint. Maybe of the victim that was about to get his frontal lobe bitten off? Now combine it with the things said about him in the week before. When Freddy catches Ralph, he does not play around. In almost all the cases, he kills him by straight up biting his head off. In page 170, for example, Ralph throws Mr. Cupcake into the vent in the office, which enrages Chica. Just as she's about to kill him, a deformed and bitten down Cupcake comes out of the vent, causing Chica to run away in fear. Ralph looks inside the vent and sees Freddy with a wide grinning smile, ready to take a bite out of Ralph too. All these things make Freddy pretty suspicious, but what makes him stand out is the following scene at page 222. Quote, Freddy is close now. He opens his mouth. You wince, expecting him to scream, but instead he laughs. It sounds like a child's laughter. You're just kids, you say. Who? Freddy's face is inches from your head. He leans down. You wonder what it will be like living without your frontal lobe. A warped, garbled voice says, "It's me." End quote. Hold up. What? Wondering what it will be like living without your frontal lobe? Freddy's directly associated with the bite in this scene, and that came from the guy who first introduced us to this incident in the first place. I can't believe it's come to this now. This is huge evidence. So what keeps me from saying,
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
it's because there's someone who against all odds still managed to make himself as much or perhaps even more suspicious than our favorite brown bear. I'm talking about none other than Foxy the Pirate. Unlike Freddy, he already was a suspect even before the release of the week before. Just like Mangle, Foxy's appearance and way of jump-scaring the player made him stand out from the others. Additionally, there's the question why he was out of order in FNAF 1. Why is he more broken down than the others, and why does he always appear with his jaw completely open? I would say this would have made him as good of a suspect as Mangle if it weren't for the existence of this book again. In the week before, the only animatronics that are ever associated with the bite are Freddy and Foxy. While Foxy lacks in having scenes where he straight up bites Ralph's head off, he makes up with indications and very big clues of being the perpetrator. In page 18, it's stated how Foxy has never bitten any kids. Now, considering the victim was an adult, it makes perfect sense and correlates with what Ralph said in FNAF 2.
But the characters have been acting very unusual, almost aggressive towards the staff. They interact with the kids just fine, but when they encounter them themselves, they just stare.
The book also gives information on Foxy's performative past. It's briefly stated how he used to be on stage alongside Freddy, Bonnie and Chica until he was banished to rot inside Pirate's Cove. It's also weird how Fazbear Entertainment neither had any spare parts of Foxy nor intended to fix him in the first place. His reputation seemed to be ruined forever. Why is that? Is it because now many people view him as too scary to let anyone even be around him for a short time? Oh wait, they are. Now here's the biggest evidence. In page 166, we discover that shortly after the bite, staff spread tips on how to slow or stop the animatronics from attacking again. Basically, you need to shine your flashlight into their eyes to disorient them and lock them in position. Does this sound familiar? That is the exact strategy you used to avoid Foxy in FNAF 2. This is literally his gimmick.
Ah, damn it! If he's Freddy, why does he keep flashing that wretched flashlight in my face?
This, alongside the Freddy statement, is directly associated with the incident which we never ever had before, and the source, which is the book itself, should be way more credible than something from UCN, for example, referring to Toy Chica. However, even with all that, there's still a logical error I can't seem to ignore. The bite happened during the day, out in the open for people to see, but the Wizards were in parts and services at that time. How would one of them manage to sneak past so many people and reach the victim? And here's an even better question. Why were the toys scrapped? Wouldn't it make more sense to scrap the Wizards if one of their kind committed the crime? Oh man, the nostalgia, I guess. Not that I blame them. Nevertheless, the list still holds up. Unfortunately, there are only very few theories with holes in them, so it's mostly up to the viewer to decide what to follow. And I think, especially considering that the interactive novel is a very recent book, with statements that Scott purposefully added there to, in his words, be able to fill blanks from the past, I'd rely on the book more. It's unbelievable how one interactive novel gave us a completely different perspective over our suspects. Especially considering a character that no one has ever really taken into consideration regarding this incident. But it is what it is, and that's why I hereby present to you our two main suspects, Freddy Fazbear and Foxy the Pirate. Both have evidence speaking for themselves, but if I had to pick one, I would go with Foxy as it just makes more sense from a narrative standpoint. He used to perform on stage. Then he caused a bite. Fazbear Entertainment decided he is too scary to be on stage and be left alone with kids, so he's out of order. He's not fully fixed, always has an open jaw, and is vulnerable towards the flashlight, basically making it a perfect representative of the bite of 87. With this, I see the case closed for now. Hey, but that's just my opinion. I'm curious what you guys think about it. Do you think it's Foxy? Do you think it's Freddy? Or would you go as far and say it's someone outside the main suspect list? I hope you enjoyed my more analytical approach towards this mystery. You can expect to see more theory videos like these in the future, and even with this editing style. But until then, cheers.